Well, I am an admirer of Elisa's. Elisa has even worked for me, and the fact is that she is talented.
What's it called? Kermit and Friends?
Kermit and Friends.
Kermit. But if
Kermit,
you're saying
like
not to
frog?
do,
Yeah,
wait.
I actually have watched a few hours of the Kermit and Friends.
How many hours have you watched, Natalie?
Oh, no. Probably indulged in 8 hours.
Holy.
My wife and I watched Benji's ex-girlfriends or whatever's going on. We watched this crazy podcast, and I have to say, this is one of the, probably in the top 5 things I think about right now.
She has a podcast, but she gets to come on the radio. It is craziness upon craziness.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kermit and Friends. I'm Elisa. This is Fozzie, and Kermit is watching from heaven. We have a really exciting show today. I wrote down a bunch of questions for our guest. I have so many questions just about life in general after reading his book. You know, what makes you who you are? You know, is it what happens to you? Is it your experiences? Is it who your parents are? Is it, you know, who you're friends with, how successful you are? Is it what you do for work? You know, who am I? Jody Plauché is a lot of things. I read his book and I was blown away by it. I learned so much about myself through reading his book, and I was hysterical by the end of it. Hysterical. And every person should read this book. It teaches you about yourself, your life experiences. It teaches you how to handle pain. There were some quotes from the book that I found so fascinating. Like something that he said that I think we all can learn from is you need to evolve from being a victim to then a survivor to an educator. Okay, that really stood out to me because I never wanted to have a victim mentality, but I feel like a lot of my life had that victim mentality. Oh, you know, all these bad things happened to me. And I couldn't quite place exactly what those bad things were. And I just spent so much time just dwelling on things and being confused and miserable. You know, I didn't get to those other parts. I don't think I became really a survivor and educator. But if you do get to that, I mean, you could change the world. And that's what this person is doing. That's what Jody's doing. I want to welcome my co-host, Wheezy. Wheezy, welcome to Kermit and Friends.
Thank you.
So what's been going on with you? I'm so happy you're co-host, obviously.
Thank you.
Any thoughts?
I have been just kind of deep into the Discord, and that's been kind of taking up all of my time. But I'm very excited about today's guest. I remember the original video, like back in the day when YouTube first came around. That video was like really popular back then, and I always thought that guy was amazing. His father was amazing for doing that.
So So what happened was Jody was kidnapped by his karate instructor he was kidnapped and molested. And it's so crazy. He was just 11 years old when that happened. And just thinking about that, it's the most frightening thing. It's every parent's worst nightmare.
Absolutely.
Every parent's worst nightmare is having your kid, molested. The karate instructor, he bamboozled that whole family, got close with the family. I think he moved into like the front yard or something.
Wow.
And got in there. He was just he got in there. He was a manipulator. He was a manipulator. And these manipulators are good. They know how to get in there. It's premeditated. I think it's very, very premeditated.
I think so too.
And so Jody's father ended up murdering or killing. I don't want to say murdering. What do you call it? I guess what?
Killing is probably what I would say, just because it doesn't feel like a murder. It feels like he deserved it. And he happened to be caught on camera. He was at a phone booth and they were walking him by, and I think it was in the airport, and he flipped around and shot him right on camera. And it's just riveting because I don't think anybody would disagree with his actions at all.
No, and you would get so pissed off if you find out that your son is being molested by somebody that was friends with the family. I mean, just if you put yourself in that position, I think anybody would want to do that. I really think that. I think that. But then also another part to the story that's interesting is that Jody, his father is painted as this hero, but Jody became close with the karate instructor. So he was actually upset that his father killed him.
Oh, wow.
So you have mixed feelings. Like when you get abused by somebody, you actually do have mixed feelings about it, because even though they're harming you, you get attached to them. Charmin, you have been abused, obviously. Me too. Do you relate to this at all? That Jody was upset about this? That Jody felt a connection with the karate instructor?
I do. And it's so common for children who have been sexually abused to be abused by somebody who is close to them, who is often a member of the family. We as adults spend time we spend time thinking about protecting our children from sexual predators, and we think about the dangerous strangers who are going to sneak up and grab our children and run off with them. But 90% of the time, it is a trusted friend or family member that is abusing your children. And those children love these people, right? It could be their father, it could be their brother, their sister, a grandmother, an aunt, an uncle, this karate instructor. And one of the things that I love so much about the way he wrote his book and the way he told his story is that he broke down a lot of the grooming techniques that this abuser used to groom not just him as a victim, but the entire community. Something I have said since I got here is that grooming is so much more than just one-on-one between the victim and the predator. It is how they groom society to accept them and fight their battles for them. Because when you hear somebody has touched a child, you instantly think, oh no, it couldn't be him. He's such a great guy. He's a pillar of the status of the community. He's a mayor. He's a police officer. He's a judge. He's a coach. And it is often that the sexual predators put themselves into positions of power so that they can coerce and control their victims, but not just their victims, the community around them, so that the community creates an environment that makes it possible for them to abuse because they feel safe and they've tricked all the adults, and the kids are afraid to speak up. It's so common. And I'm so proud of him for the way he told his story and shared it, and he broke it down. I really think our community would enjoy reading this book, right? He's a guy's guy, he's a man's man. He tells a bunch of funny jokes. When people come at him about his abuse, he makes inappropriate jokes back at them. He's very smart with the way that he did it. It's less than 200 pages. There's blank pages amongst those 200 pages. It's an easy read. I knocked it out
I
of
read
the
it in
park
one day.
in one day.
I read it Saturday. I read it yesterday, just all day. It took me all day. And I was in tears at the end.
Yep.
I was in tears. I don't know if he did that on purpose or not, but I was definitely in tears. That last line that he said, the line was,
Helen Keller's line.
Yeah, Helen Keller's line. Although the world is full of suffering, it's also full of the overcoming of it. That got to me.
It really did, because,
Yeah.
and I related to his journey so much, because as a victim, I had to become a survivor. And the natural progression for me was to become an advocate, to fight for other people and to try to put a spotlight on the bad behaviors that allow this to continue. We don't realize we're providing cover for predators. Slut shaming, victim blaming, these are grooming techniques that the predators have got us to do for them, and it makes their life easier. And he doesn't just talk about predators who abuse children. He talks about sexual predators in general, because a lot of their behaviors are similar. These control techniques, these master manipulator tips that they use, they don't just use them on children, they use them on adults too. And
But
so
how do you become that? Like, is that something you're born to be, is a manipulator? Or is that, because also in the book I read that a lot of I think I read this in the book, or I was just doing so much research on him, it gets confusing, but they said that a lot of times it's people that have been molested that molest other people. And then, so does it ever start with someone that's not molested?
So I like the fact that he exposed some myths, because there are a lot of myths that surround childhood sexual abuse, and this is a grooming technique that they have done to get us to fight for them. There is this horrible misconception about abuse survivors, that if you have been abused, you will grow up to become an abuser. And a lot of survivors suffer in silence for shame of being associated with the thing that they despise the most. Most survivors of sexual abuse would not ever abuse another person, not a child, not an adult. And he talked about, and there's been a lot of studies done about convicted pedophiles who have lied about their childhood abuse to gain sympathy, but they fail lie detector tests. This is something that happens consistently. Predators will create a story, a false story, to trauma bond with you so that you believe you can trust them when you cannot. And I have experienced this in my adult life with partners who want to be intimate with me, and they will create a child abuse story to be close to me so that they can bond with me over my abuse. And I've only experienced it a couple of times, but it's a huge red flag for me. Most people who have childhood abuse experience and exhibit a lot of shame, a lot of humiliation. It is uncomfortable and difficult to talk about your abuse. And I encourage everyone to do it at a slow pace when they feel comfortable. You know, he talked about the importance of people's reactions.
Yes.
I say, you don't have to lean into my abuse story, but please, for the love of God, don't lean back in disgust, because your response to my story and how I share my truth with you will color whether or not I feel safe enough to truly share with you. So whenever someone here has shared their trauma story, I have thanked them for sharing their truth. And I try not to push for details, because details make it really difficult.
It's gratuitous. I watched a couple others interview Jody. So this is interesting. So I watched a couple other people interview Jody, and I have a question for him about that. A lot of like podcasters, people that have YouTube shows, and they go into a lot of graphic detail about things like the sexual part of it. And I'm very curious what Jody has to say about that. Watch this clip of Jody. I'm going to bring him on. He's coming up next.
A trusted martial arts instructor is accused of kidnapping and abusing one of his young students. The victim's father uses a gun to take matters into his own hands. And the horrifying scene is all caught on camera. 1983, Jeff Doucette teaches martial arts to children in Louisiana.
There's a lot of throws, takedowns, arm bars, wrist locks, and chokeholds.
Doucette appears to take a special interest in one of his students, 11-year-old Jody Plauché. February 19th, 1984. Jody Plauché suddenly disappears, and his instructor is also gone.
We went to Anaheim, California, and I went to Disneyland for the day.
Decades later, as an adult, Jody Plauché vividly remembers being taken across the country by Doucette.
This was kidnapping. He had no right to take me, but I went willingly, and people can't comprehend. Why would you go with him to California? But I will say this, that was the closest I ever came to telling what was going on, because I didn't want to go to California.
Afraid of upsetting his family, Jody Plauché carries to California a dark secret about Jeff Doucette.
Jeff had been sexually abusing me the year leading up to going to California. I mean, there's all kind of molesters out there, and most of them are someone that the kid knows and trusts.
Back home in Louisiana, his parents, unaware of the alleged abuse, hope for any sign of their son. Finally, their phone rings.
He allowed me to call my mom, say that I was okay. We were running out of money, and so, you know, when you're kidnapping and you call collect, you're asking to be caught.
The police, monitoring the family's phone line, traced the call. Minutes later, officers in California stormed the motel room. John Pasterik, a local reporter, interviews Jody's father, Gary Plauché, as he waits for his son to be returned safely the next day by authorities.
We did a long interview with him about what the family was going through.
We were scared, and our reaction was just erratic at times. We just, didn't know what to think. It's just a waiting that, I don't know, it's a lot of waiting. We didn't know what to do. You just feel helpless.
He was definitely a worried father. He wanted to celebrate because his son had been found and was on his way home, but he was just very anxious.
A sense of relief for a worried father. But no one knows the true extent of Gary Plauché's anger. As authorities move the accused through the airport, the team is on high alert. Abe McGold films the arrival for a local television station.
I was up in just off the security area where the passengers would leave the security area, and I noticed a gentleman standing by the bank of phones, which was about 8 feet from me.
That gentleman is the victim's father, Gary Plauché. Gary Plauché is now in arm's reach of his son's suspected abuser. With his camera, Abe McGold videotapes what happens next. A shocking close-range shooting after Gary Plauché takes aim.
Wow. Okay, welcome to the show, Jody Plauché. Okay, Jody, you're muted. Just unmute yourself. I'm so thrilled to have you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, I read your book, Why Gary Why. It was fabulous. It was so great. I was crying by the end. We have some people here that can relate a lot to, the abuse that you went through. And this is helping a lot of people, this book. I watched your interviews, some of the podcasts, and I was wondering, when people ask you specific details of the abuse that you went through, are you okay with that? How do you feel about those questions?
I'm okay with any question, to be honest with you. I mean, this happened so many years ago, and I feel like I've dealt with it, that there really isn't a question that, you could ask that would make me uncomfortable. I find it that most people are more uncomfortable asking the question than me answering it.
Really? Okay, so people that you talk to, were always people like that? Like the way people viewed you before the kidnapping and the way they treated you at school, did they treat you differently after? Were people afraid to talk to you?
I honestly think that the parents of the students that I went to school with, I think that they probably had to sit them down and have a talk and say, what Jody went through was something horrible, so don't make fun of him. There was only one kid, and I mentioned that in the book, that said anything bad about it, like, hey, at least I wasn't molested by Jeff Doucette. He didn't quite put it that way. But come to find out, if you read the book yesterday, he just died like a month ago, and he was in jail for 20 years for child molestation. And that's the one kid that said something negative to me.
Isn't that interesting? Wow. That is so interesting that he would be that person. So this situation, when you're a kid and you're taking karate, and you probably admired Jeff. He was probably one of the main people in your life.
Oh, at the time, absolutely. He was awesome. He would take us to the movies. He'd take us to, even in the when he kidnapped me, he took me to Disneyland.
Yeah, he was fun. He paid more attention to you probably than anyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and it wasn't just me because there was a bunch of kids that would be at work. I mean, it was probably like 7 or 8 of us that kind of went to the movies, that went to the arcade, that went to fighting these karate tournaments. So, there's a lot of them that would sit there and tell you that, no, Jeff was great because he never molested them because he was molesting me.
Yeah. So you just wonder, like the people that pay attention to you most in life, you wonder what their intentions are. That could be at any point in life. Are they trying to manipulate me? Do you have a hard time trusting people in general because of this?
It depends on what level. I mean, at some level, you have to go through life and you got to trust certain things. But when it comes to like grown-ups being alone with children, no, I don't trust anybody. And I think one of the quotes in the book was, if someone wants to spend more time with your child than you do, that's a red flag.
Absolutely. We're getting a caller. Kermit and Friends, how can I help you?
Hi, Jody. First off, appreciate your, for being brave. And I'm a molestation survivor myself.
Oh, you are?
And,
great.
Yeah. My babysitter molested me for a year when I was 7. And my question is, how did the molestation affect your relationships and your sexuality and your sex life as an adult and going through high school, etc.?
Great question. Great question.
And that's a very common question. People want to know how it affects my relationships, my sexuality. And I was straight before and I'm straight now. Now I'm chronically or terminally single. I haven't had a girlfriend in years. Should I have had a date in years? But
yeah, me neither.
But I do like the young ladies, not too young, but I do like the ladies. But again, I address this in the book. I did the Seinfeld quote where, it's like, it's nothing wrong with it if you're gay. I have nothing against it. I consider myself an ally for the gay community. Because being a pedophile or a homosexual pedophile is not the same as being a gay person. So I defend them when it comes to that because it's not the same thing.
Right. So why do you think you have a hard time getting a date? Because I have that same problem. What is it? Are you picky? Are you?
Yeah. I'm picky. I'm very picky.
Yeah.
2, but also I'm broke. I live at home with my mother. That's not real attractive to women.
Wait, how are you broke? You have a great job. Your job is at the Pennsylvania Sexual Trauma Center or something like that?
I left there in 2005. The goal was to write the book and then book speaking engagements, but the book came out and then COVID happened. One
second. Sorry.
COVID happened, so I had 5 speaking engagements canceled. I was going to go to Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, Vancouver, Alabama. All that got canceled. So I've just been, working for my friends.
1 second. Sorry.
That's right. My friends are helping me out, so I'm working with them. But once we get over this COVID, hopefully I'll get back out there and get things right.
Wait, so did you get a book deal where they paid you in advance?
No.
No? Oh, it's self-published?
Yes.
Oh, why did you do that? You could have gotten a huge book deal.
You know what? That's a good question. I just felt that going the independent route probably would be the benefit in the long run, especially if you're doing speaking engagements and you sell copies of the book to the people that are booking you. That way everybody can have one. No, it would have been nice to have the money up front, but also I don't control the cover. I don't control the title. I don't control none of that.
Oh, but they would have loved to name it Why Gary Why. The reason why it was called Why Gary Why is because after his dad shot Jeff, people were screaming, "Why Gary Why?" It's a brilliant title. I love the title.
Well, you hear the cop go, "Why Gary? Gary, why?" Yeah. And he runs over and he grabs him. So I was like, "Well, this is going to be the name of the book for sure." So and they may have done that. And also, if you look at the cover of the book is based off the shirt my father had on. So, so I sent a picture to the publisher of the shirt, and that's what they did the title. I mean, the cover out of. So that's pretty. I thought it was pretty.
The whole
clever.
thing is brilliant. I think you could have gotten $1 million from that for your book. We're getting a caller, Kermit and Friends.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Jody.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I had a question for Jody.
Okay, speak up a little bit. Speak up a little bit.
Is that better?
Yes.
thank you, Jody, for being on here. And I'm also a survivor, and the Kermit Friends have quite a few people that are survivors for child sexual abuse. And thank you for being on and telling your story. One of the things that struck a chord with me was the karate instructor thing. We had some experience with an individual that was a karate instructor and was teaching, children after a sex offense. And the research we did showed there's really no organization that checks on their credentials or their backgrounds, and that was really disturbing. I don't think that's changed. I just wondered what you thought about that, and should there be an organization that checks on martial arts instructors and their backgrounds if they're going to be around kids?
But what would they check on? Because I don't think he had a problem with that before, right, Jody? Thank you, John. I don't think he was arrested. What was he? Did he do it before?
I believe he was arrested when he was 17 for sexually abusing a kid in Port Arthur, Texas. But because he was 17, it was on his juvenile record. So my mother asked my uncle, who worked for the sheriff's department, to do a background check on him. And my uncle claimed he did. I don't know if he did, but he said that no, he's nothing stands out. So, my mother even took that cautionary probe. Now, I will say this about the karate instructors, okay? It's not karate instructors. It's anybody who has a place where they're dealing with children. It could be a baseball coach. It could be a basketball, any kind of coach, any kind of mentor, any kind of someone that's looked up to, priests, clergy, people who are around children. So it's not just limited to karate.
Wow. Yeah, because it's really sick to think that someone would be attracted to that job for that reason.
But that's why they are.
That's why they are.
I spend my spare time at Hooters, not on a soccer field, coaching a bunch of little 10-year-olds.
Yeah, I did notice that you wrote about Hooters in your book, like multiple times. Do you really like Hooters that much?
I got one like 2 miles from the house, so, it's just easy. And when I lived in Pennsylvania, the first place I went was there because I didn't know anyone or anything. And the first person I met was my waitress. And so, that's just kind of where I hung out when I lived in Pennsylvania. That's where I hang out now.
Really? Wow. I didn't even know Hooters still existed. Like, how about dates there? Can you pick up any women there?
That's like being out to pasture. Them girls, they looking at me as an old man. They ain't looking at me as a date. But
okay.
Yeah, but I'm all good. I'm happy with how I am.
You are? You're happy with so you don't mind being single?
I don't. I like to do what I want. I even put on Facebook not too long ago. I said, single privilege is real. And my best friend commented. He said, oh, so you want to spend your own money? You want to do what you want with your own free time? Is that how? I'm like, yeah, I want to do what I want when I want with who I want. I don't want to tell them what to do or spending my money. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Have you ever been in a long-term committed relationship?
I was in a long-term committed relationship for 3 years. When I was 17 to 19 or 20. I mean, I was young, but and actually it was kind of a weird circumstance because the girl that I was seeing ended up moving in and living with me and my parents for like 1 year and 8 months before we finally broke up. So, I mean, I was in a seriously committed relationship.
Wait, your girlfriend moved in with your mom, did you say?
And my mom and dad, back when we were dating, she was living with her dad and her stepmom, and her stepmom at the time we felt was too strict. Like we were high school kids, we were just trying to have fun. And so she was like, you know what, I'll move in with y'all. And so she moved in and she lived with us for 1 year and 8 months.
Okay.
And we're still friends today. I mean, I still see her and we're still friends. So it's all good.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take some more questions. Let's get a question from my co-host, Wheezy. Wheezy, you're on with Jody.
Well, I just think you're super brave, first of all, and it's pretty amazing. I'm just wondering, like, after you wrote the book, have you gotten a flood of people just supporting you that you wouldn't have imagined otherwise?
Not that I wouldn't imagine otherwise. I think the book has been, like, y'all didn't, like, listen to y'all talk about the book to me made me very happy because y'all got what I wanted out of it. Because I didn't want people, putting the book down and cutting their wrists. I wanted people who were survivors to make it through. My mother was like, you should put in more detail. I'm like, no, I don't want survivors to put the book down, and I don't want pedophiles jerking off to it. So
yeah, that was something I was thinking of. Like when it started to get sexual, I was wondering about that. I was wondering if like predators would look for a book like that almost as a how-to guide.
Or like a Penthouse forum, and then Jeff went down underneath the covers and sort of performed all sex. I mean, they're like, imagining doing it to a little kid, you know. So I tried not to go into too much detail, but I mean, I had to go into some.
Yeah, you had to go into some detail just to show what happened because people would be guessing and they'd be wondering. But it was such a long-term relationship between you and him. And it was like there were so many levels to it. He was friends with your family. He was teaching you karate. You really excelled at karate during that time. You did so well. And I was wondering, like, was it because you were angry that you took it out in karate, or were you trying to show off for Jeff? Like, why do you think you were so great at it at that point?
I think it probably, when I got into the ring, it was probably that pit up anger.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to look back as how I was when I was 10, 11 years old. But I felt what I felt was in the ring when I was fighting in those tournaments. I didn't feel like anybody was going to beat me. But that's a tough question, actually. Like, I don't know whether it was the anger. I know when I went to school, that was a whole different life for me. I remember being in 6th grade, and school was a whole nother life. School, I could be Jody. I could be myself. I had friends.
You were
I made people
popular,
laugh.
before and after.
Right. So, in like the one quote, whenever I came back from school, whenever I came back after I was kidnapped, and my friends were looking at me, they didn't know what to say. And I was like, well, I've got to break the ice. And that's when I looked at them like, what? Y'all are looking at me like I've been kidnapped or something. And that's when they realized I hadn't changed and I was the same person beforehand.
I think that's so amazing that you were able to handle it like that. I mean, after being kidnapped, I mean, you'd think you would just be so like subdued at that point and shy and withdrawn, but that wasn't you at all.
I'll tell you, like I said, at school it wasn't. But if you watch the video from whenever I was returned, you showed the clip where my dad was being interviewed. And I mean, I'm walking down the corridor and I've got my hands in my pocket and I've got my head. I mean, I look like a kid that had been sexually abused for a year and kidnapped. But like I said, that was when I was returned home. My mother had to lean over and hug me and say, smile, because I was mad that Daddy had the cameras there. That's why I was so unhappy. That's why it looked like a happy reunion, but I wasn't happy. And that was because the camera was there. But, I got over it.
Yeah. But as part of you enjoyed the attention afterwards, right? Did you enjoy the fact that you were famous from this event?
Actually, yeah. I mean, that's what people knew who I was before, but that's when everybody at the school knew who I was. That's when I became friends with the really pretty girls. And I ran into them not too long ago, and I said, hey, Carrie, I said, I mentioned you in my book. And she goes, what, did you say you like Christy better? And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what I said.
I think I do remember that part. Yeah. So because women really respond to men that are vulnerable. That's my number one quality that I like in a guy, when he really can be like who he is. He doesn't try to be cool or fake. And I hate that when they're like so disingenuous. A lot of guys are like that. But you put it all out there. You tell everybody exactly who you are. Do you think like you'd be a completely different person if this hadn't have happened to you? Like, who do you think you'd be?
I probably would be a completely different person had I not gotten a phone call from Mike Barnett after I first appeared on the Geraldo Rivera show, telling me that they had arrested a pastor who had been molesting these 2 kids, and the kid came forward after seeing me on the Geraldo show. I probably would have been different because I only went to New York City for a free trip. Whenever that happened, and it happened in Baton Rouge, I was like, wow, I could make a difference. I can help, people who are being abused, and hopefully I can do that. And so that's when I kind of went into the direction of going to college, taking speech communications, philosophy, psychology. Those were my 3 minors. I volunteered at a battered women's shelter working with children when I was in college. Also, I was into organizing men against violence when I was in college for 2 years. So I knew after that what I kind of wanted to do.
So I read that as well, that you're involved with Men Against Violence. So does that put you in a strange position? Because I know that you had mixed feelings about your dad, shooting Jeff. So is that something that you talk about? Do you have mixed feelings about that still? Do you think he should have done that? Do you think he did that for you or for him?
That's a great question, because I think my dad was mentally unstable. And if you want to see temporary insanity, watch that video, because my dad wasn't in his right mind.
Do you think he should have had a gun? Do you think, because people tend to shoot people when they're not mentally well, right?
Right.
So because after this, like, I'll probably go to brunch. I'll go to the dog park. Like, I have no ideas to go like kill someone or take a gun anywhere. I think that happens when you're like out of your mind.
Yeah, he was clearly out of his mind.
And he could have been hurt. He that could have gone wrong. It went well, right? But it could have not.
He expected to be killed. Like, he went there to die. So when you're in that mentality, you'll do almost anything. So
your dad went there to die?
He figured the cops were going to shoot him. Yeah.
Yeah, it was surprising. I mean, your dad's, was a great guy. Obviously, he did I mean, it's weird. I feel like so torn on it. I feel so torn on. I'm sure you feel torn on it. But like, I don't think that anyone should have a gun at all, because I mean, he could have ended up killed, definitely, 100%. I mean, that could have happened, and other people could have been killed. He could have missed. He could have shot someone else. And I think when people have a gun, they want to use it. And who wants anyone to use a gun at all? I don't think people should have guns. What do you think of that?
My best friend, the one who wrote the foreword to my book, he always hated guns, but he went and he bought himself one because one night he came home and there was a guy banging on his door. Okay. And I think the guy may have had either a weapon or something, a knife, and he was at the wrong apartment. And he was looking for another guy. So my best friend was like, all right, I've got to get this for self-defense. But he explained it to me perfectly. A gun should be like a spare tire. No one brags to you about their spare tire, but you know what? When you need it, it comes in handy.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, and then so Kyle Rittenhouse, that situation where he is 17 years old, has an AR-15, which can kill a ton of people at once, and he goes, across state lines. What do you think of that situation?
I did not pay enough to the trial to really give an informed opinion. I know people are saying, well, he shouldn't have even been there. Well, you know what? That's fine. He didn't know he was going to be attacked. If that's what happened, like I said, I don't know. I just know what I've heard. I know a lot of people who watched the trial felt like that probably was a good sentence. I didn't. It's a terrible situation. It's a terrible situation all the way around.
Why would you put yourself in the worst humanly possible situation? You go to a riot where, like, first of all, who wants to go to a riot?
I'm not going to a riot.
Yeah, like, why on earth? I mean, there's a million other things that I would personally rather do than go to a riot. Okay, like literally a million, like literally anything. I would do anything other than go to a riot. So he goes to a riot that's far away. It's not even a riot right outside. Like, maybe if there's a riot, even a parade or a riot or whatever is like.
It has a different feel if he was sitting in his front yard protecting his home than traveling somewhere else. It has a totally different feel. I admit to that. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. And people, they're saying, he was going to hunt people. I feel like somebody that's going to hunt people with an AR-15, which no one should have, in my opinion. Why should you have a weapon that kills that many people? I mean, I just hate that anyone could get a weapon. 17, however old. I just don't like it. I don't feel comfortable with it. And now this guy's a hero. So now kids are going to be looking up to this hero wanting an AR-15.
Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of guns. I respect, gun owners' right to have it. But like I said, I feel like a gun should be like a spare tire. It should just be only when you need it.
Yeah, but the people that get the guns are in a bad state of mind, typically, right? So your dad, even though he was, protecting you, he was not well at that point. Do you think he should have, what should he have done?
He probably should have let Jeff have his day in court. He should not have put himself in a position to be prosecuted. And I know a lot of people who are fans of my dad are going to, look at me like I'm anti what my dad did. I understand fully what my father did. And I feel grateful that he didn't spend any time in jail, but that's him. Any parent who goes through something like this, it's more important for you to be there to support your child than to take revenge and put yourself in a position to be prosecuted. That's what I advise all people. And Jeff, no matter what, no matter how scummy and what a total piece of shit he was, even total pieces of shit, child molester, kidnappers, and other horrible things deserve their day in court.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that. I mean, I don't know. I'm really anti-violence, right? So I don't like guns. I don't like people any violence of any kind. That's just how I feel about it.
But when you see, did you see the video of the football player beating his girlfriend up in front of a little kid?
Yeah. Oh, you think there should be a gun in that situation?
No, that's when you go, walk him through the airport. You see that video and you're like, yeah, someone walked that dude through the airport.
Oh, you're saying so some people do. So you do believe in some scenarios, eye for an eye.
No, I don't believe it. I feel it. Like I watched that video and if someone would have came in and shot that dude, then I wouldn't have lost sleep over it. But no, I'm not an eye for an eye person. I want the system. And honestly, I would probably have felt better with Jeff in jail for the rest of his life than him getting the easy way out.
Because do you at all have love for him in any way?
Right now?
Yeah, like do you ever think, oh, this guy was nicer to me? I mean,
no.
You don't feel like that. Okay.
No. When I was younger, I had a connection with him and I felt a bond with him, but that was just because I was young, manipulated, and been sexually abused for a year and kidnapped. I mean, but no, now he's a worthless, no good, rotten, but again, even no good, rotten pieces of shit deserve their day in court.
Because I'll tell you, nobody has been nicer to me than people that have sexually abused me. Nobody's been nicer. Nobody has been more interested in me and what I have to say and interested in what I like to do. And they just really do it more so than like a regular person.
And what's the myth on that? The myth is that they threaten to kill your dog or they threaten to harm you or your parents. That's not the case. They use their kindness. They use their generosity. They use the gifts that they give you as their protection that you're not going to tell on them because you develop a bond with them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you have processed this, and are you able to do like sexual things and not think about this? Has it affected you sexually at all?
I don't think so because if you go back to the part in the book about Jim Norton, when me and my friend Tiffany went to go see him, and so he was asking the audience what genre of porn did you like. Now, I don't like that genre of porn, I can assure you. Well, for those who haven't read the book, my friend Tiffany yells out, "Anal!" And me and her are sitting like right in front of Jim Norton. And I've met Jim and know him, and he looks at Tiffany and he goes, "Man, do you know who you're sitting next to?" And she was like,
he didn't make a joke about it. I don't think he wasn't really like what I read in that part was he wasn't making a joke. He was just telling your story.
Well, no, what happened was he did an hour's worth of new material. And when he got to the end, he was trying to do crowd work. So he looked at this guy and he asked him, "What's your favorite genre of porn?" And he wouldn't answer because he was with like his girlfriend or a wife. Well, I was sitting with my friend Tiffany. Well, he asked the crowd, he goes, "All right, what's your genre of porn?" Well, he didn't know that I knew her or not, but she just yelled out "anal." And that's when he just goes, "Ma'am, do you know who you're sitting next to?" He goes, "That's my friend Jody. He was sexually abusing kidnapping." And then he looks at me and he goes, "Is it okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so she started apologizing, like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I forgot. I'm like, "No, it's okay. Like my favorite comedian just introduced me to the crowd in New York City. I'm fine."
Yeah, I mean, I am surprised that anyone on earth would like anal.
I'm convinced nobody does. Anybody who says they do
lie about.
Are doing it for the extra paycheck is what they're doing in the porns. I can assure you.
No, I mean I've lied about it to appear more fun to people, but I would never do that. That is like the opposite of what I mean. I compare anal to like going to a riot. I mean those are in the same category for me. Two things I don't want to do. Okay, so during that though, that must have been so horrible for you. That seems to me like the worst part. I mean, it all seemed bad to me, but him, like, was he forcing you to do it, or did you have to pretend like you liked it?
Basically, I just didn't resist. So he didn't force me. I was compliant. I was a compliant victim. I went along with it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So he never forced it. He never really he never raped you. Did he rape you?
Well, okay. Technically the word is yes, he did, because I wasn't consenting to sex.
Right.
Because underage children can't consent to sexual intercourse. I never once was like, "Hey, Jeff," and roll over and showed him my back, like, "Hey, I'm in the mood."
Yeah.
It was him always initiated with me, like, "Okay, go in the bathroom," or something like that. But yeah, it was never something that I wanted or initiated.
Okay, so he never. And were you trying to impress him at all? Like, I know he was really like flirting with you and trying to have a relationship with you. Was he trying to have like a regular relationship with you?
Yeah, it was like
courting.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I was his, love object. I was his, love object, and that's pretty much how it was.
Wow. All right.
And
So
we'll take a question. I mean,
yeah,
I see there's a whole bunch of chats.
This is a crazy story. This is one of the most intense stories I've ever heard. It's just there's so many levels to it and so much to process for you. Like, not only do you have to process the molesting, the kidnapping, but what happened with your father. I mean, it's all so heavy and just so complex. How many years of therapy have you done with this? Because you talk about this a lot with, podcaster. Hold on one second. Please hold. You talk about this with podcasters on TV shows. Does that help, or does therapy help? What if this has helped you?
All right. So I had to go to therapy. I probably would guess for 6 months.
1 second. Do not talk yet. Sorry.
I went to therapy for like 6 months, and the therapist looked at my mother and was like, "You'll be all right. You'll be fine."
Really?
They made me go to therapy. They forced me to go because, like, if trial would have came, they wanted to show that I'd gotten professional, help. But they made me go, and after 6 months, he's like, "He'll be fine." And
fine?
Okay, the person on the phone. Let's see what they got to say.
This person does not know how to call into a show. Kermit and Friends. Yes. How can I help you?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Are you watching the show?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, you are? Okay. What's going on? Is this Erica?
Yeah, it's Erica.
Hey, Erica. Thanks for calling in. What's your question for Jody?
I think Jody is too heavy.
What?
I think he's like too heavy with his issues.
What's heavy?
Heavy?
Oh, heavy?
Yeah.
What do you
He has
mean?
too many like important issues in his demeanor. Like, it's too heavy. I don't like. It's a Sunday. Like, I want to have fun. Like, it's too heavy.
Oh, she's saying for your show, because I watched the show last week and it definitely wasn't heavy. She's just saying that this is like, child rape, kidnapping, and murder is not how she wants to spend her Sunday afternoon.
Right, that's good.
Geez. Okay. So what I have to say to that is, we have a different kind of show every week. We've tackled difficult issues before, and the main purpose of this is to help people. Like, Jody has helped a tremendous amount of people. So maybe if somebody's watching that wasn't expecting a heavy show is watching this, like, for instance, you're a woman, right? The stats are, let's see, according to a scientific study, 14% of college freshmen report to being raped before enrollment and 40% after enrollment. I think that's women and men. I mean, I don't know. Erica, have you ever experienced any sexual abuse?
Everyone has. Yeah.
Everyone has. That's right. Exactly. Everyone's experienced it. So if you can get something from this, and the statistics, they don't lie. It's a huge amount of people. I mean, it's almost everyone. It's almost everyone that's been affected by this. So if it's heavy and it's hard to watch, that's okay. You'll be all right. This is going to be helpful for people. This is not meant to hurt people or freak people out, but it's important. I'll tell you something. I'm just going to hang up, about myself is that, I still am not there, where Jody is. I am not even close to being able to talk about things the way Jody does. And him, and reading his book last night, it felt like almost like the best day of my life. And him doing that Helen Keller quote at the end saying that you can overcome things. You can. You don't have to be, miserable forever. You can get through anything, and you can actually help the world, because who are you if you're not helping the world? If you're not using your pain for something, because everybody experiences pain. Everyone. I don't care who you are. Everyone here has gone through something hard, and it's very difficult to talk about. Most people don't. Jody is not an average person. He talks about it more, and he puts it out there, and is not afraid to be vulnerable, because when you're vulnerable, people can come out and say, oh, this is too heavy. This is too much. This is uncomfortable. This is weird. But more people, if they just came out, would make it comfortable for people, and you could be a better person. I say you're a better person if you use your pain to help the world. You're better to me.
Well, if she'll go to my Amazon spot for my book and look at the reviews, there's one of them, probably 4 or 5 down, where the person says, "This book is funny." not what you were expecting. And I've tried not to make it heavy. I try to lighten it up at times. And I think at times there are moments where you will laugh out loud. So, the topic might be heavy, but I'm not. I was in that clip you showed with the caught on camera. I've lost 50 pounds since then.
Yeah. Do you stress eat? That's something I do.
No.
Oh.
I was working for my brother-in-law at the time, and I was driving, so I was on the road all day, and I was getting no exercise. I was eating fast food and drinking Mountain Dews to stay awake, and I just blew up.
Yeah. Are you pretty happy now?
I'm very happy now. I would be much more happier if I was out speaking and traveling and doing what I'd planned to do once the book came out. But I do have, all right, so I can republish that book. So I might go full distribution because I'm working with a group out of New Orleans. We've partnered up and we're trying to turn it into a documentary and maybe a feature film. But, I said this earlier and I probably shouldn't, but you know how what they say about the people in Hollywood. I could see where a movie where the, pedophile gets shot and the guy gets away with it hasn't been made yet.
Oh, why? Because Hollywood's full of pedophiles?
I'm not saying that.
Is that why?
No, it could be.
Oh, geez.
If they're full of pedophiles. Corey Feldman thinks they are.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they seem to be in every business, in every place.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. But is that because I was going over this before, because a lot of people that were molested do become pedophiles. But what about the people that weren't? Why does that happen?
All right, the majority of sexual abuse victims are females, right?
I think so.
Okay, then why aren't the majority of sex offenders females?
Oh, so then why are the majority males?
So because males are your majority of your sex offenders. I mean, but
no, but why?
It's because they're. A lot of people will say because of power and control. I think that power control is one of them. Then there's their hatred. There's Jeff's was probably attraction. There's different reasons. A lot of it's power and control.
But okay, so most murderers are men. Most rapists are men.
Men are more violent than women. I mean, that's why we had Men Against Violence. That's to engage men. If I was at a bar one day, all right, and I'm watching a boxing match. Okay, I'm watching a boxing match on a TV across the bar, right? And I see this guy underneath the TV, and I'm not really paying that much attention to him. And then he walks around the bar, and he's like, "Man, why do you keep looking at me?" I'm like, "Excuse me? You've been looking at me for the last 10 minutes. Why you keep looking at me?" Now, most guys would go, "Man, go fuck yourself." I was like, "Dude, I'm watching a boxing match. I'm sorry. I mean, I wasn't trying to upset you. I mean, I tried to." Do the conflict resolution instead of going, hey, what's your problem? So, men are they're conditioned to be that way. I mean,
they're conditioned to be that way.
Yeah. I mean, I got a friend of mine, Don McPherson. He was a Heisman Trophy runner-up in football, played quarterback, played basketball in college. And he wrote a book talking about toxic masculinity. It's called You Throw Like a Girl. So how do you insult a little boy is you tell him you're like a girl.
So you think it's environment? You think it's how they're raised?
It's all
everything
together. Yeah, it's all together.
Oh my gosh, that's so disturbing. I really hate hearing that. That's because what can you do about that? People are just not good at raising people.
No, they're not. And and some people are good. Like I was at Hooters last night, and I was sitting at the bar. The bartender's boyfriend was there, and he was leaving to go duck hunting. And I was like, and he goes, I really don't want to go. It was late. And I said, then why are you going? Hold on, someone's calling me.
Oh, okay. Here, I'm just going to take you off for a second because your sound went out. Just interesting. Charmin, thoughts on Jody so far?
I'm hoping that when he comes back, we can have an opportunity for him to talk about the grooming process and how long it took and how much time he spent with his abuser before any touching took place. There is a misconception that childhood sexual abuse happens very quickly, but the reality is that there's a lot of scouting that takes place. And I'm sure there's an appropriate professional technical term that has been used, but I call it scouting because they're testing the waters. They're making inappropriate jokes to children in a funny way that makes it seem like it's not that bad, and everybody. I'm really sensitive to inappropriate rapey jokes because I don't think it's funny.
I hate
I
that
think
too.
it's testing the water, and they're trying to tear you down and make it okay for them to get away with inappropriate behavior. I have talked many times about good guys acting like the defense attorney for bad guys and making it possible for the bad guys to get away with worse behavior because we're all just joking around. And there's a lot of trolls out there, and there's a lot of joking that gets done. But
Sex jokes, you mean like somebody sexualizing you?
yeah, there's a lot because people tease each other in
Yeah, I hate
different
that.
ways.
I actually
And there's
despise
a healthy way to do it. And one of the things that has come up in this community a lot over the last couple of months is that people go too far. There is a line, they step right up to it, jump over it, and tease you and shame you any way they can. And as a survivor of sexual assault, I am incredibly sensitive to rape jokes. If you make me the butt of a rape joke, you're dead to me. I have no use for you or your friends. I don't trust you. You don't get to tell me it was a joke and I'm oversensitive. If you know who I am, if you know I'm a survivor and you deliberately do something to humiliate me and terrorize me, I take that very personally. And I don't think people who haven't been abused get it. And I think it was really significant for him to say that the only person who teased him about his rape turned out to be a pedophile. There is something incredibly significant about the way sexual predators tear you down and get other people to defend them and their behavior. It is part of grooming. And he also talks about a phrase I had never heard before, coercive control. And the way he explained coercive control as being a step beyond grooming, more dangerous than just grooming, was really powerful to me. And I think that there is some more conversations that need to be had there. I have a personal boundary. Like, I don't have a ton of boundaries, but I have a few really good boundaries. And if you try to isolate me from my friends or my family, and you try to separate me so that I am alone and you have control over me, I'm gone. I don't, that's something that my campaign manager did to me. My campaign manager also immediately told me a story where she had been assaulted as a child. So when she was on here a couple of weeks ago and she said she had not ever been sexually abused, it was incredibly powerful, but also hurtful for me. She did that. She targeted me. She deliberately told me a false story just so that I would gain trust with her. And then she terrorized my life and put me through hell. And I'm still dealing with it to this day. And there is a lot to be said for talking about the way these abusers behave and sharing these terrible techniques so that other people can identify it. I've talked many times about the fact that my picker is broken. I started getting abused as a very small child. And I just seem to attract people who are only interested in abusing me and mistreating me. It's a problem for me. And so I try to pay attention to people's behaviors and pay attention to the similarities that make them dangerous. And I share those with people to help them so that they can identify it too.
Well, part of Jody's book, did you read this part about the vandalized love map? A
Yes.
love map is a person's internal blueprint for their ideal erotic situation. It occurs when the love mapping process becomes traumatized, when a young child is either exposed to or forced to participate in inappropriate behavior. So like the rest of your life, your love map is off.
And he says your love map is developed between the ages of 5 and 8. So it was no wonder to me that I've had a ton of horrible sexual relationships because I never got a normal love map.
I think we try to find the most fucked up possible relationship because of that love map. I mean, you became involved with this guy, Brian, who's a lunatic.
He went out of his way to shame me and humiliate me this week here in this community. He knows I'm a survivor. He used my abuse as ways to just make me miserable. And because of the way my campaign manager targeted me and set me up and then shamed me and humiliated me and used it to cause problems with my public persona and my campaign, used it as a way to blackmail me, I am very sensitive to it whenever somebody else does it. My public persona, my reputation is incredibly important to me. And especially when somebody who is attached with a professional national organization targets me and starts behaving in what is incredibly stalking, harassing behavior to target me, I think it's a setup. And I think it's a hit by somebody who wants to have some sort of power and control over me so that they can manipulate me. One of the things that I've experienced in my dating life is that I attract incredibly powerful, successful men. I have been told many times that when they look at me, they see dollar signs. I recently heard that losing me was like flushing a winning lottery ticket down the toilet. And what I have become aware of is that men see me as a golden opportunity and they latch on to me and try to gain control over me because they think they can get away with bad things and use me as a shield. Like they can behave badly and I'm going to defend them. And that's not going to happen. I felt like my husband had been set up in that previous situation. And when my campaign manager told me this crazy story, I think she thought I was going to close ranks around him and protect him. And I did not. I won't do that. I can't be controlled. And I'm proud of that.
Wow. All right. So, okay. I don't even know where to start to dive into that.
Yeah, let's go back to Gary, right?
and
Let's talk
Jody,
about
yeah.
the grooming process and
Okay,
how
okay.
long predators play their game before they actually touch a child.
Okay, that is a really good question. I'm curious what like Jody has to say about that. Was it a long courting process for you?
It was over several months, so I don't know exactly when it started because it started when he first started saying how great we were at karate and how wonderful we were and just trying to charm the family. As far as the actual testing the boundaries, I think it started when we were stretching in karate because it gave him access to get close to our bodies. And especially if you're stretching your legs, doing a split, it's your inner, growing. I think that's when he kind of normalized him touching between my thighs, said, "Ooh, look, your legs are tight right here. You need to stretch out a little bit more." And that led to him, putting his hand on my private parts while I was driving the car. And he addressed it that one time. He said, "Did you tell your parents what I do?" And I was pretending like I was sleeping, so I pretended like I didn't know what he was talking about. And that's when he really started moving in further. That's when I feel like he felt he had me.
Okay, so do you agree that this like vandalized love map? Do you have a vandalized love map?
No, remember, it's between 5 and 8. I was 10, 11 when this was happening to me. I had already been in love with Farrah Fawcett when I was 6 years old. So
really,
yeah, I had the poster. I just love. I had more than one poster of Farrah Fawcett when I was a kid. So my love map. And if you look at my girlfriend from high school, it looks a lot like Farrah Fawcett. Look at my.
Wait, but why is that not a vandalized love map? I don't think it has to do with looks.
No, it's vandalized because I'm not after some little boy or.
That's what it would be.
Yeah, the vandalized love maps is if.
But did you ever reenact those sexual situations that you had as a child in adult life? That would be a vandalized love map, I think.
No, it's your attraction. Like a love map. Think about the movie. Have you seen the movie Weird Science where they make Kelly LeBrock out of a computer?
Oh yes, yes.
Okay, that was their love map, and that was a lot of people's love map was Kelly LeBrock. So if you could, it's what you're attracted to. That's your love map. And if it gets vandalized when you're younger, you might be attracted to something that's not appropriate or.
I thought it was the situation. I didn't think it was like looks or. Okay, so it's not the situation. Okay, Kermit and Friends, how can I help you?
Hey, Lisa, it's Crystal. I just have a question for Jody. First of all, Jody, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. You're so brave, and I know you've heard that all day. But my question is, did you ever want to say no? Like, I mean, at some point you had to know, like, what you felt maybe that it was wrong, what was going on. But, I mean, I have a 10-year-old son. If he says no, he has no problem saying no. Like, did you ever want to say no? And if you didn't, like, were you afraid of him? Like, did he ever threaten you? Like, how did he, what kind of coercion did he use?
Great question. Thank you.
He used guilt trips. I mean, it is karate, so I mean, there were times where he would put me in a chokehold or a pressure point. For the most part, I mean, I knew he could hurt me. I didn't think he would, but that all factor in. I mean, it wasn't that and I knew that if I told my dad would kill him, so that factored in as well. So, okay. Anyway, I'm just reading a comment, but yeah, no. So I never wanted it to happen, but I never felt I could say no. Does that make sense?
You never felt like you could say no.
Like I could tell Jeff no, because then he'd have been like, then he would have still done it. Yeah.
Wow. And then there was this scene that I was imagining when you guys were on a bus going to California, and he was making out with someone, and you felt a feeling like of jealousy. Is that attention jealousy? Or is it like, if he doesn't like me, if he likes a woman, if he's making out with a woman, that means like I'm not good enough? Or like, what do you think that's about?
All right, I know Jeff was he really was legitimately was a sociopath, and he didn't care about nobody's feelings or didn't care about anyone. Okay. To me, looking back, that was Jeff trying to find a way to either steal money from her, get money from her, because that's what Jeff was all about, because we really didn't have any money.
He was attracted to that woman making out with her on the bus?
That had nothing to do with him liking a girl.
Oh, so you don't think he liked women at all? Do you think he was with your mother? Because that's another thing that I read, is that your people think, or his brother, is his brother named Roland?
Roland?
Yeah, so Roland became famous in your town for speaking out against, it seems like against your mother, saying that your mother had some kind of sexual relationship with Jeff.
Well, he got famous pretty much after the shooting. Like, I mean, he had like a radio show and he did dancing lessons. Roland, I always liked Roland.
You did?
Roland was told by Jeff, and because my parents had split up like in August of '83. And so it appeared to everybody that, yeah, that they were a dating couple. But Jeff wasn't interested in her. He was interested in me. With that said, all I can say is that I didn't tell everything in a book. And if the documentary and a feature comes out, there will be more.
Okay. So you think there's no possibility of that?
I can assure you they did not have a romantic relationship.
Okay, you can assure. Okay, so people thought that, but you don't think.
My dad's the one that started the rumor, because whenever my dad got kicked out, he drank too much. My mother kicked him out. Said, "Gary, you're drinking too much." And so he's like, she's got this young boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. They got time for me. So he's the one that started it, and to everybody else, it appeared that way. So I don't hold anybody who thinks that my mother and Jeff were seeing each other. I don't care. But I also address in the book that there are a lot of men who target women with children just so they can have access to their children. And women who go on these dating sites and put, I'm the happy mother of 3 daughters, they get a match. Well, that dude might be
pictures of their daughters. Oh, you know what really disgusts me, Jody? I don't want to say any names, but there's some mothers that I know that post slutty, skanky pictures of their daughters on social media, saying so proud, or they'll post a picture of their daughter holding a diploma, wearing pretty much tight shorts or something. And I think, what are they doing? What are they doing? They're asking for trouble. How do you feel about that? Do you think that you should just post anything and just hope for the best?
No.
What do you think social media, parents, how should they deal with social media? What do you think?
I wouldn't allow my child with social media.
Up to any age?
All right, so my older brother, I don't know their ages. Let's say he has a 14-year-old daughter. No, 15-year-old daughter. And my younger brother, he has a 14-year-old daughter. And so they came to me and my little brother talking about my older brother, and they're like, oh, he likes nothing but football and adult stuff on Twitter. That's what he likes on Twitter. And so, his daughter was like, oh, Well, my older brother was like, what's she doing looking at my Twitter? If it's a situation where you can see nude photos like that, then a 14-year-old probably shouldn't have access to that.
Yeah, I'm really glad when I was growing up, there was none of this. Like, because I would have put myself in really bad scenarios. Like I was in the AOL chat rooms, which were not good. And, my name was like a very like slutty name at a young age. And I can't believe I did that. But I mean, I actually had it better than the way kids have it now. I mean, with the nudes, Snapchat, where they can just screenshot it. I mean, you could get yourself into a lot of trouble. And this, that last term that I mentioned where it's, you keep going after the same scenario. If you had a bad scenario as a kid, like a sexual scenario, you try to keep finding that situation. So you don't do that at all.
No, I don't do nothing at all.
You don't get into like weird situations at all. Like you have healthy relationships.
When I do, they've been healthy. Or the one that when I was in high school, I was probably still a little kind of screwed up. But I did kind of date someone for a while as an adult, and that was a pretty healthy relationship. She wanted to get married. I didn't, and so.
Why do you think you don't want to get married? You don't have any kids, right?
No kids, no desire to get married.
So no desire, and it has nothing to do with this situation. It's just you like being single and going to Hooters.
Probably being able, like I said, being able to do what I want when I want with who I want. I've been single so long that I don't play well with others.
You don't really? You get in fights?
No, I don't get in fights. It's just like, for example, let's say my older brother plays music at a bar. Okay, so hey, let's go see Bubba play. All right, let's go. I take my car. Oh, I want to ride with you. Nope, ride with somebody else. The reason being is because when I want to leave, I want to leave. I don't want to be like, hey, come on, I'm ready to go. Hey, let me finish this beer. No, I'm ready to go. I mean, so it's just, I like doing things. When I'm ready to do something, I'm ready to do it.
Okay, so best
I'm not mean. I'm not mean.
You're not mean. So what do you like in a woman? What do you like it when she gives you a lot of freedom?
It's been so long, honestly. I really got to be honest with you.
Wow, you don't know, huh?
Yeah, it's been that long.
Yeah, Sugar says she would have had an OnlyFans. So would I. I would have had an OnlyFans at 12. That's how fucked up I was. But okay, so Jody, best case scenario, what happens in your life now? You already have your book. Okay, how's the book doing?
The book is doing okay. Hopefully this will help. I've had a few sales this week, and I can probably attribute that to Kyle Rittenhouse because a lot of people were bitching my dad on Twitter. He's gone on my Facebook. He's blown up like 3 times this week. Usually it used to be once a week. Now it seems like it's every week.
You get more famous every time there's a shooting.
Well, exactly. And this is and the reason why I think Daddy's so popular, and why everybody loves Daddy is because Daddy stands for kind of like justice to me.
Yeah.
People see like, okay, you know what? My case, I didn't get justice, but you know what? Damn it, he got the justice he deserved, or most people want. Most people want to do what he did. He went out and did it. Now, he was mentally nuts when he did it, but he still did it. Most people say they would do it, and he went and did it.
Did you ever get jealous of his like notoriety and his like hero status? No?
No, I think he probably didn't like it as much as people like to praise it to him. Like, I mean, he's like, I'm not a hero. He's just, I'm just a dad. I just did, what he felt most dads would do. And they asked him, they said, do you consider yourself a vigilante? And he said, no, I don't consider myself a vigilante. He says, a vigilante to me is someone who goes out looking for someone to exact revenge on. He goes, I was just protecting my family.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so he wasn't mentally sane at the time, but he had the right attitude. He was a good dad, right? I mean, he was good.
Great guy. As soon as he pulled the trigger, it was like popping a zit because he was brought to jail. My mother got on the phone with him, and the first thing my mother said to him is, Gary, you're going to hell. And he said, yes, I accept that. So
you think he is going to hell?
That's what he thought.
But do you think that?
No. I'm not real religious. So, but there was a time right shortly after, I think when my dad was on probation, that the priest at our church my dad did his community service. I mean, that's where we had his funeral service. And the priest washed his feet and gave him absolution for his sin of murder. And so I think that helped my daddy as far as mentally not being that he was going to hell. So I don't think when the time my dad died that he thought he was going to hell, but at the time that he pulled the trigger, he thought he was going to hell.
Wow. So he processed this as well, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Just such a fascinating story. Do you so what do you want to promote? Obviously you want to promote your book. You're living at home right now with your mom, right?
Yeah, go buy the book. Get me out of the house. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I mean, you can move out. If enough people bought your book, you could move out of the house. Like the producers. I mean, we've had some producers on the show. If you're a producer and you're watching, this is a great movie.
I agree.
This would be a great. I mean, I can't think of a better storyline than this. I really can't think of anything better. More terrific movie.
I think the more things get back to normal, I think the more things will be better for me. Like I said, I got the production company. Let's say we sign a docuseries deal. We do a 4-part docuseries and it blows up like the Tiger King. Well, I've retained the rights to the book to where I can then I can go through a publisher. Then I can redistribute it and get full distribution and be in bookstores and airports and that kind of thing. So that's kind of like the aim for the future. But I'll tell you what, since, I've known who you were for a long time, since I used to be remember I told you I was driving on the road? So I listened to Howard Stern every day, all day. And so I was even a big Howard Stern fan whenever I lived in Pennsylvania. And the reason why I bring this up is because whenever I got the invite to come on the show, I went back and watched the show last week live. And then I went back and watched some with Stuttering John. And I went to the fight with John and Crazy Cabby in Atlantic City.
Really?
I went to that fight. And not only that, I had a beer with Beetlejuice. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I had a beer with Beetlejuice.
Wow.
I shook Evander Holyfield's hands. I got a picture with Kendra Jade. I talked to Ralph. And the best part about it, if you go to YouTube, go type in like Stuttering John, Crazy Cabby, Flunky versus Junkie, and go to where they're introducing the fighters. It just so happened I was sitting right behind Michael Buffer. So when Michael Buffer's going, and in the blue corner, you can see me back there clapping for Stuttering John. You can see me. I mean, you can see me bright as day. Yeah. So,
Jody, I hope you're not too traumatized by all that.
Oh, no, I'm not. There were some.
I mean, meeting Stuttering John.
I didn't meet Stuttering John. I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I bought Jackie a beer one time. Me and my best friend were in Atlantic City, and we went and saw Jackie Martling, and Stuttering John was there. So I was next to him with Jackie. But me and my cousin, we were huge Stern fans. But I haven't listened in the last 2 years because of the pandemic, and I'm not on the road anymore. But and I used to live in Pennsylvania, in Royersford, Pennsylvania, which is not far from Collegeville. And Collegeville is where Mark the Bagger used to bag groceries. And I used to go to before he was even on Stern, I would go to that grocery store and Mark would be there bagging groceries. So it's kind of like
you don't watch anymore. Do you feel the same way that like Stuttering John like hates the show so much? He despises the show. He wants to sue the show. Do you feel like that?
Well, I don't. It's not like that. It's just not as interesting anymore. It's just not the same. It's changed.
Yeah. So you don't like the style of interviews that they do? It's more of a serious show.
Pretty much, yeah. I liked it more when it was, the craziness. Sal and Richard, doing their crazy whatever, and it just seems like it's different. It seems like I hate to say it seems like a more mature show.
Yeah, who wants that? And
Yeah,
you're not one of those like mean Redditors that like go on there and
No.
Okay, you're not that. So you're normal.
Oh no! I mean, trust me, I would love to go on Howard.
Oh, no. I mean, like, you're not on the message board saying like Howard sucks, he changed. You're not that guy.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I would never say that because I would love to go on the show.
Yeah.
So I would never talk bad about it. Saying I don't enjoy it as much as I used to is not talking bad about the show.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I still,
Yeah, you could change, you could grow out of things. You can evolve. I mean, Howard's evolved. His fans have evolved. We all grow up. We all change what we like. And I mean, I've changed things constantly. I mean, we go through wrap-up show co-hosts like, every day, different ones. So yeah, you can change. So, okay. So where should people go if they want to contact you, if they want to talk to you? Maybe there's somebody out there that is being abused right now that needs help. This is what Jody does. He helps people. That's all he does. That's what he's devoted his life to. How do they contact you?
My website is jodyplauché.net. That's JODYPLAUCHE.net. And I've got my email on there. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. If you send me a friend request on Facebook, just say, hey, I saw you on I heard you on the podcast. That way I know it's a listener and it's not just some Autobot. But yeah, I'm very easy to get in touch with. You can go to Amazon and you can, search Why Gary Why. You can order the book that way on the paperback, or you can download the Kindle version. Your book has not been mailed yet, but I will give you
I
your
read it
signed copy.
anyway.
But I'm gonna get you a signed copy. I figured I didn't have enough time to get you the book yet before the interview, so I sent you the digital copy. But I'm gonna make sure you get your signed copy.
I read it. I loved it. I'm a fan. You're going to change people's lives with this book. That's what a book should be. I learned so much about myself. I mean, I learned your story, but also I thought, man, this is something. And what do you say to the people like me? And I know there's other people here that are probably watching right now that they know that they had some kind of weird situation as a child. They're very odd now. Okay. Like, I'm very odd now. I'm very unusual. Everybody says that about me, that I'm weird with like sexual relationships. I'm unusual with just relationships in general, and like traumatized by things, that have happened. So those people that like, your story is so obvious, like your story is really obvious. And I almost wish mine was. What about the people that's a little less obvious and it's kind of like convoluted?
Well, I think that the aspect when I'm talking about as far as how you can, process and work through it, get a proper support system, it doesn't just apply to sexual abuse. I mean, it could be, it could apply to, like I mentioned, my godson where he lost his leg. I mean, it could apply to something like that. Like, I mean, he's thriving now, but he wasn't at first. I mean, he had to work through it. It was a process, and he's, now he's married. He's got his own house. He's got a brand new baby, so he's doing wonderful. But I mean, losing a limb when you're in 10th grade or between your 10th grade and your junior year, when you're just had played on the all-state football team and won the state championship, and now that's taken away from you. That's rough. And so I asked him, I said, would you trade with me? And he was like, I can't answer that. And I was like, I can. I know what I went through, and I know that I'm okay. I don't have to worry about, the struggles that come with having one leg. And I figured he would
rather be raped than lose a leg. That's what you're saying.
I probably, yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. I think me too, actually.
As
strange as that sounds.
Right, victims unite. Let's go support. But no, I mean,
anyway,
honestly,
it's not a good decision to make, but
when I first started working at Victim Services Center, like, nobody knew what had happened to me. I moved to my boss did. My boss knew, but nobody else knew. So we're sitting around work one day, and this one woman, she was a receptionist. She was like, you know what? I fight to the death. Like, if someone's trying to rape me, I'd rather them kill me. I was like, you're out of your mind. And she's like, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know what it's like. And I'm like, so anyway, so the next day or later that day, I go home, I call Daddy. I'm like, Daddy, I said, listen what this woman said today at work. I said, she said she would rather be killed than raped. And Daddy was like,
huh.
He goes, fuck that. He goes, I'd rather be raped. He goes, I can always try counseling. If that don't work, he goes, I can kill myself later. I was like, yeah, good point.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the staggering numbers of how many people are raped and sexually abused is just so high. And then according to these studies, the average child waits 20 years to disclose sexual abuse. So they don't tell people about it right away, typically. And then more, they wait, and then 25% waits 30 years. And then the people that just do it the first year, the little 13%, those children are hardly believed. So even if you do tell somebody, they don't believe you.
Without the hospital report, I don't know if I ever would have told.
Yeah.
I probably
Thank God for that. Thank God for that hospital report. You're helping so many people. Jody, did you have fun today? Did you enjoy it?
I did. I didn't have as much fun as y'all had last week, it looked like. But I mean, it is a heavy topic. But I would like to say this. I would love to come on again when it's like a whole different topic, when it's having fun, so it's not this heavy one. Because I would really like to show the people at home that I'm not this heavy of a topic person. I like,
What are your favorite topics besides this?
Conspiracy theories.
Oh, conspiracy theories. Do you have an interesting conspiracy theory that you can share?
Oh no, I just like going on YouTube and the regular ones. I don't believe in flat Earth. I don't believe in lizard
You're not
people.
like an Alex Jones guy, are you?
I'm not that bad.
Let's hope not. Tell me quickly about this picture. I have a picture of you. I don't know what this is about. What's going on in this picture?
All right, so if you don't recognize the guy on the left-hand side of the picture, that is none other than former LSU basketball player and former Los Angeles Laker great Shaquille O'Neal.
Wow.
Last year, I mean, he went to LSU, and I graduated from LSU. I live in Baton Rouge, and I was sitting at Twin Peaks, and he came walking in with the other guy on the right. The other guy on the right, his name is Sean Connor. That's like one of Shaquille's really, really good friends. Well, it just so happened that if you remember the part about the guy that was the ball boy for LSU that got me the autograph program, and he gave it to me, and that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Well, that was Shaquille O'Neal's really good friend, Derek Mallett. Okay, and Derek was the guy. In 8th grade, he just gave me that signed program. So I mentioned Derek in the book. So I sent a book over to Shaq, and I told the waitress, I said, tell Shaq that I mentioned D-Mac, Derek Mallett. I mentioned him on page like 89 or whatever. So she walked over and she handed Shaq the book, right? Well, the other guy in the picture, he starts looking around and he's like looking for me. So I raise my hand and he waves me over. All right, put it back up real quick because I want people to see this.
Oh, okay, hold on.
All right, so the guy on the right, his name is Sean Connor, okay? His dad is Bud Connor.
Okay.
Bud Connor was the police officer walking next to my karate teacher when Daddy shot him. So what are the odds that I send Shaquille O'Neal a book about my dad shooting somebody and he's having dinner with the son of the cop that was there? Is that not crazy?
Oh, wow. You've met so many famous people. Like you were on Oprah. What was Oprah like?
You know what? My experience with Oprah at the time wasn't as good as the other talk shows that I had been on. For example, I had been on Geraldo, I had been on Maury, and Geraldo, before the show, came in and talked to me and my dad, introduced himself, and, Maury came in, talked to me about 10 minutes before the show, just kind of like, what are you doing? I'm glad you came, blah, blah, blah. Oprah didn't meet with us before the show, which I thought was kind of rude. I'm taking off of work.
They all do that? So all the famous hosts of TV shows, they all introduce themselves beforehand?
That was my experience. I don't know if they still do it now, but at the time, this was like, 91, 93, 95. Even Lisa Givens. This is a funny story about Lisa Givens.
Yeah.
So back in the day, I had to FedEx my pictures, like your hard copy pictures, so the producers could get a shot of the pictures when you were like 10 years old taking karate. And so Lisa comes up to me. It was me and my dad. She comes up to me. She's like, Jody. She goes, I saw some pictures of you when you were 10 years old. Oh, my God, you were so cute. And I looked at her. I said, yeah, I was too cute. That's why I'm here. And she turned red. She was like, oh, my God.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. So she was uncomfortable with that. Some people are not comfortable with jokes like that.
Yeah, she was I made her a little uncomfortable. But
was
even
Oprah
she came.
nice during the interview? Did you like the way Oprah spoke with you?
Well, she was, of course, nice during the interview. But the thing that rubbed me the wrong way as well was Oprah taped for like an hour and 40 minutes, and she would cut her show and edit it out. Like half the stuff I said on Oprah never made it to the broadcast. And all the other talk shows, like if they had 44 minutes to film, they would film 44 minutes. They might cut out like 1 minute because somebody went long, but for the most part, they didn't edit their show, and an Oprah did. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way too.
So that rubs you the wrong way. Wait, why does that rub you the wrong way? I'm just curious.
I felt it was cheating.
Oh, it's
like,
cheating?
If you film for 2 hours and you take the best of the hour, that's different than if you film for 44 minutes and that's just your show.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So you don't like that, but you like her as a person?
I respect Oprah for what she's accomplished. Absolutely. I mentioned her in the book. She is a survivor herself. And, if you want proof that you don't have to be scarred for life after you've been raped and sexually abused, look at Oprah. She's a perfect example.
Yes. Well, a lot of celebrities have come out about being abused. Definitely Oprah. I think Madonna.
Lady Gaga, Madonna.
Lady
Sugar
Gaga.
Ray
I
Leonard.
just listened to it before this interview. I listened to her on the Howard Stern show talking about how she was raped. And that was interesting. But yeah, I think most people, but people, a lot of famous people, they don't want to come out with it. And it gets confusing, like that Me Too movement. That is super confusing because then all of a sudden you're talking about people that have a lot of power. So you're coming up against someone that could totally destroy your career. So you
or make your career.
Or make it. That's right. That's right. And you just have to be. It's worth the risk, right? Would you say it's worth the risk? Just be true to who you are, because is who you are that becomes who you are all of a sudden, right?
Mm-hmm.
That experience.
Well, I don't know if you noticed. The one thing I tried to be in that book was 100% honest and tell the truth as I believe it. And I find it hard to lie. And like my friend Dave, I'll tell the story. I'm not going to say her name because we're still good friends. But there was a fitness model. Okay, very, 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 very attractive young lady. She was my neighbor, and so she had made this trip. Some dude had booked her a trip to like Washington D.C. and she didn't want to do it. And she was like, "Can you call this guy and tell him my dad's sick that I can't make it?" She's like, "I don't want to talk to him." And I was like, "I can't lie to this guy." Yeah. And she was like, "Please, Jody, I'll blow you if you call him." And I was like, "I can't lie. I can't do it." And so that's the story he was talking about in the Ford, if you read it, about how I'm so honest, even for that, even under those circumstances, I was like, "Can't do it,"
Yeah. No, I mean, I think when you live truthfully and honestly, it feels better than holding things inside. It does feel like a relief. Like you've talked about this so much. You've talked about a lot. So you have to be processing it like each time. And I think it is good for you. I think it is good for you to do that. And you get support. That's how you get support, by putting it out there.
Since the woman called in and said that I was too heavy, can we end this like I do my speeches, where I tell like a funny story from one of the kids? It's in the book, but all right. So right after and this is not this, you read it, so this is for the people who are watching. So in 2002, the whole big Catholic Church scandal blew up in Boston with the movie. What's the movie that was about it? Won an award. I own it, but it's a movie about it. Anyway, so I felt kind of like I wasn't doing my part. So I went to my boss and I said, "Look, I got a friend of mine that works at CNN. His name's Art Harris. He wants to do a story about me. Here's the kid who was kidnapped, sexually abused, and now he's working to help others." And she said, "Well, let me talk to the board." So she talked to the board. She got it approved to where CNN was going to come down and film me doing programs at elementary schools with little kids. So I'm doing our program, Keep in Touch is Safe and Healthy, for the second grade class at Brook Elementary in Royersford, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And so there's like 8 people in the room that shouldn't be there. There's a cameraman, there's a sound guy, there's a correspondent, there's a producer, there's a principal, guidance counselor, and teacher, and sound guy and camera guy. So I'm like, all right, I'm going through the program, good touches, bad touches, unhealthy touches, and secret touches. Secret touches are the inappropriate sexual touch by a grown-up. Well, when I mentioned the word secret touch, this little boy raises his hand. And normally I wouldn't have called on him, but I felt the pressure because of everybody in the room, and I called on him. Okay. And the little bastard looks at me and he goes, "Sometimes you can secret touch yourself." I was like, "Come on, dude." I said, "I'm 30 and single. I know all about that shit." I didn't really say that. I thought that in my head. I'm like, "Come on, I'm 30 and single." But I said, if you're touching yourself, it's not a secret. And then one time we asked my niece who she would tell if anyone ever secret touched her, and she said Gigi, which was my dad. And I looked at my sister. I was like, "No. Don't tell Gigi."
Well, listen, it's a touchy subject. I appreciate your humor about it. Your humor will get you through anything, right, Jody?
Do what? My humor what?
Your humor can get you through anything.
I believe so. I mean, even at my dad's funeral, I was sitting there with my best friend, and we were kind of sitting off together, and he had been kind of being my personal assistant all day, getting my water, carrying my coat. I looked at him. I said, "You do realize everyone thinks we're a couple?" And that was in the middle of my dad's funeral service. So.
Yeah, so you could joke during a funeral. You're an unusual guy. With or without this, you're an unusual guy. You are so funny, and you have a lot of good spirit to you. Everybody should be friends with Jody here. So all the Kermitarians that are watching, invite him to the Discord server. Invite him to your wrap-up shows.
And I want to come back for a better subject.
All right. Yeah, it can be your conspiracy theories. We can call it Jody's conspiracy theories, and we'll go through those. Send me a list. Because are you conservative? Are you Republican, or what are you?
I'm in the middle. I think politics is like professional wrestling. So, I don't lean one way or the other.
All right. Well, I'm still looking forward to that. That's going to be amazing. You're terrific. You're inspirational. Thank you so much, Jody. Everybody from here should be friends with Jody. Every single person. Okay. So find him on Twitter, invite him to your wrap-up shows. I know there's going to be multiple wrap-up shows today. Weezy,
Yes.
what's going on for the wrap-up show? Are we going to be talking about Jody and his story? I mean, I think he's so sick of telling the story, but it was so nice of him to come here today.
Oh, it was great.
He's told Oprah, he's told ESPN, he's told every news network, but he was here. That was so kind of him.
Right.
He's a Howard Stern fan, which is really like
I
weird
know.
to
Yeah,
me.
I found that odd too.
That was shocking. Like Beetlejuice
Yeah.
stuttering John. Oh my god.
Beetlejuice was like, he meant Beetlejuice. That's amazing.
Yeah, so you gotta ask him about that.
You did a great job interviewing him too. I thought it was fantastic.
Thanks. I was actually like really nervous. I was up all night because I was reading his book. I was just it's just important. Like when we have an important person like this with a
Right.
story that touches people and the story that people can learn from. I know there's people out there that haven't come to terms
Right.
with, what they've been through. I know
Oh,
that
absolutely.
for a fact. It
For
is
sure.
absolutely true that, people are out there, they're watching this and they're saying, okay, wow, maybe it wasn't like as extreme as Jody's story with the kidnapping and with the, just with everything. I mean, Jody's story is like, there's just so many levels to it. You guys have to read this book. Harry, you're our new COO. You're on mute. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, I knew I was on mute. I was letting you talk. Sometimes I get weird background noises, so I mute myself.
Okay. Well, it's great to have you. You're COO. You won a court case this week. Tell me about your court case.
I got the 2-year restraining order on Mr. Mark Cruz.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Mark Cruz, the karate instructor that pled guilty to statutory rape, you put a restraining order against him. He cannot come anywhere near you. He can't speak of you. He can't screw with you anymore. What was he doing to you to get involved with your life? What was he doing?
Recently, it was the constant threats that were being thrown out. There was contact. It was unnecessary between him and my better half and my son. And I just thought that it was time to put a stop to it. We actually started the process back in August, and it took this long because due to the fact that for some reason they couldn't serve him.
Was he hiding? Because people tried to serve me like 3 or 4 times, and I was actually like hiding in stairwells and stuff. Do you think he was doing that?
I don't think he was hiding.
Okay.
I think he was avoiding, but I don't think he was going out of his way to hide.
Avoiding, hiding, same thing. Okay, so you won. So you're the winner. There's nothing on your record. He's the loser. On his record, it says that there's a restraining order against him. That's terrific for you. Your whole family must be very, very, very relieved.
Everybody's relieved. I'm relieved. The threats to come to my house had started back in April of this year, and it just had progressed to the point where it got so far out of hand and so ridiculous. From what I understand, I guess Bob, we all know Bob.
Yes, former manager Bob.
Correct. He recently did a video where he claimed that Mark had a representative from his lawyer's office in the courtroom. That's a big fat freaking lie. There were six people in the courtroom. 3 people waiting on a case, the judge, the court reporter, and 1 bailiff. That's it. That's the only people in the courtroom. There were no attorneys in the courtroom. And this is one of those courtrooms that's really small, little tiny thing. It doesn't have like a jury box and all that stuff.
So you guys didn't do a virtual courtroom? That's what I did.
Oh no, this was live.
Did you dress up? What'd you wear?
Just business casual.
Business casual? Okay.
Yeah, I don't walk into a courtroom with a T-shirt.
No, you got to dress up. That's very important.
That you have to look nice and show respect to the court, and that's exactly what I do when I go into court. Then Bob's story changed and said that, Mark's representative was probably sitting in one of those viewing rooms. Now in this courtroom, it's too small. There was no viewing room available. It was very small. It's not one where they bring in like prisoners from jail for hearings. It's not one of those. It's just a civil courtroom. That's all they hear in this courtroom are civil cases. They don't hear murder cases and that sort of thing. But yes, I got the order. It's good for 2 years. I cannot have, as per the judge, I cannot have contact with Mr. Cruz. Period. End of conversation.
Yeah, that's why he thinks he won. He thinks he won because he doesn't want to have contact with you, but he's the one with it on the record, so that's the loser, right?
That's correct. The other thing I have asked for that has not gone into play yet. Hey, John, I asked for an addendum to be added to it for him to remove any references to myself from any and all of his YouTube channels. The judge in the case was not familiar with that stipulation, so she did ask, she wanted to have some time to look into it, and that could be added to it in the near future.
Oh, wonderful. This is a big success. I would call this a big success, Harry. Congratulations. You have won. He's a winner. It's great to have a winner on Kermit and Friends. John,
Touchdown.
Are you
Touchdown.
thrilled? Are you just thrilled for Harry?
I'm thrilled. He's been in this for a long time. We're still in it. We'll be filing our paperwork on top of his because it's a legal precedent, and it's been a long road. And I think everybody will be glad when it's over and we don't have to deal with it anymore.
All right, great.
Yeah. So that's a joke.
I didn't hear it. You have really bad internet reception. What did you say, John?
Oh, okay. All right, let me. Oh boy, let me see.
John, you got to get to this fast. I know you have a lot on your mind. Just get to it.
Okay. No. I'm just trying. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I know we had probably an unfortunate interaction on Discord last night regarding Eric. And first of all, I just need to apologize for a term that I used and a name that I called you. It was totally inappropriate, and my temper got the best of me, which occasionally happens. And so I apologize for that. The issue itself, I'm really refreshed, and I think, maybe you're doing this intentionally, maybe you're not, that Eric isn't on the show today. And I think that's a good thing. I think he needs treatment, and that should be done. And I don't know how to do it. I know there was a way with what was going on for you
John,
to make that happen.
Do you know that I could have anybody on the show that I want? Do you know that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So why
I don't control that.
Have Eric on? Why not? If I want to have him on and he wants to come on, why not?
Well, all I can rely on, Elisa, is my professional experience and the professionals that I talk to, and somebody that's going on YouTube and talking about murder and rape is somebody that needs to be treated, number one. And you know this, and I told you this. The authorities that I got in touch with, basically to help you and help him, strongly advised that you block him and that he not appear on your show. So that,
No, but the authorities didn't even need to be called. I just wanted him to have friends. I said, everybody, can you call Eric? He needs a friend. That's all he needed.
Well, maybe that's what you think, and maybe that's what I think, but it's not what I know. And in my experience in dealing with people that are talking about murder and rape, a friend is not what they need. They need professional help. So, and I don't.
Okay, well, I mean, whose job is that? I mean, if you want to go
No, and I would, and I did the best I could, and what we arrived at is the only way to locate him and for the police to ping his phone, and you were getting, the calls. You were the victim in the case, was to contact him. That was the only way it was going to be done. If there was a family member that knew his address, and that was my
I don't know his address.
intention. Well, I know.
I don't know his family.
I know, and that's what I was telling you, and in that situation, you were the only one. And it wasn't to get him in trouble. It was, if you filed a police report, they would have grounds to ping his phone and find him and do a welfare check, and that's all there was to it. It wasn't, it wasn't really complicated.
Wheezy, any
Hi,
thoughts
Wheezy.
on what Don is saying?
Yeah, we've already gone around about with me and John about this, but first of all, he owes you an apology.
I already did that. Thanks, Wheezy.
But you need to explain why you owe her an apology, what you called her. But secondly,
I did.
Eric's probably the most mentally health thing he can do is come on here and be part of the show. We all know that he's not going to.
You're not a psychiatrist, Wheezy.
He said he's
neither are you.
I'm not afraid he's going to murder me.
That's why I call professional.
This is a show, and we're entertaining on this show.
Yeah, and mental illness is not entertaining.
But it's not for you to
Sometimes
decide.
it is.
It's not and if you get advice from a cop, that doesn't mean the cop's right.
Oh, so the cop's not right. They don't. LAPD doesn't know what they're
You're
talking
telling
about.
me
You know how
100%
ridiculous
of the
that is?
advice cops give is correct? It's not.
Oh, so they don't know anything, Wheezy. They don't deal with mental
I didn't
patients.
say that. I'm just saying they
Then
might
you
be
are
off.
saying that.
They might
That's
be
exactly
wrong.
what you're saying.
Could they be wrong?
Oh,
Could
so
a cop
they're
be
wrong?
wrong? Could a cop
They don't
be
make
wrong?
the decision. They tell you how to get him professional help. They're not assessing him. You don't assess him. You can't. Nobody can say this guy is safe. He's not safe. He's going to hurt himself. He's not.
Can never be wrong.
That's not what I said.
Kind of.
That's not what I said. You have, I don't know what axe you're grinding, but I'm my intention was to get him help and to keep Alyssa safe from.
And since she denied what you wanted her to do, you haven't dropped it, and you've been.
No, that's not true either. And I had dropped it. I was going to bring it up if he was on the show again, and then we through sitting in voice chat and we were with Coach Love playing, music. Barry came in there and we were talking about the show and this came up and he decided to write an email and he did that. And I thought the response, was just crazy, if to tell you the truth, if you want to talk about crazy.
You were incessantly calling me and texting me.
That's not true. That's a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie.
I posted the text.
That's a lie. I texted you. I never called you.
I said
my
I'm
wife
going
didn't
to
call you.
sleep.
Did Kelly
Leave me
call you?
alone. Not that
did
night,
Kelly
but
call
many
you,
times.
Elisa?
You guys are overcallers.
Elisa, did Kelly call you?
I've never called Elisa.
Many times.
Did Kelly call you?
Many
I never
times about Mark Connors. Many times. You
Yeah, no,
called
I
that
think
night.
no.
Like you wouldn't let me sleep. I tried to go to
you
sleep.
said
you wouldn't let me.
that's a lie. That's a lie. That's just a
It's
lie.
not a lie. I said
Why
I
are
have
you
to go.
lying?
I'm hanging
Why do you
up.
have to lie?
I'm not. I'm saying I'm hanging up.
You
I'm
are
hanging
lying.
Up. No, I'm not.
Yeah, because you're caught in a lie. Oh well, I have phone records. Do you have phone records? I never called you. I texted you. I posted the texts that we had. My wife never called you. You said Kelly was calling you all day, and I got screenshots for
Multiple
it. So
times.
who's lying?
Why would Elisa
You're lying.
lie about that?
You're
Why would she
lying.
lie about it?
You're being
She wouldn't
so
lie
weird,
about
John.
that. That's the dumbest thing to lie about.
That's my question. Why would you lie about something like that? My wife
I'm
called
not.
me. You
guys are
know where
both
she is?
weird.
Yes, you are. You did. You know where she's at right now?
Court.
Florida. No, Florida, Elisa. And you know why she's there?
Restraining order.
She's processing the death of her mother with her brother. And do you think, and we'll prove it if we have to. I'll prove you're a liar. That's really easy to do. We have phone records.
All right.
So
well,
stop lying.
I'm not lying. It's you.
Yes, you are. You did. You did. And you're lying
lying.
now.
I'm
Kelly
not
never
lying.
called you. Kelly
always
never
called me.
you.
She always
never
calls me.
called
Maybe
you.
not that day.
You said she. So you lied.
No, I didn't.
So
I said
you
she
lied.
called me a lot of times about Mark Connors during my
No.
weekday while I'm
you
at work.
said
That's what I
you
said.
You said that she called you all day yesterday.
No, I
about,
didn't. I said you
Yes,
called
you
me.
did. I've got.
No, I said,
I'll show you.
John's being
You want
weird.
me to
John's
show you your
calling me
post?
again. No, I didn't.
No,
I never said
no.
she called me
And
yesterday.
I never. The only phone call I made to you was the one that we had when we talked to Eric. The only
And I said,
phone call.
I'm
So you're
hanging up. I
lying
said,
twice.
I don't want to hang up. I said, I don't want to be talking about this, John. I need to be going to
You-
sleep. I can't be bothered with this.
No.
That's why I went to the Kermit and Friends Discord.
When did this occur? When
I said, everybody, please call Eric, calm him down. I'm busy. I can't deal with
We
this.
were on the
And then-
phone with Eric. So
No,
you're
I know.
lying. I didn't call you. I texted you. I gave you the information. So why are you lying about
And
this?
I should be able to choose whatever I do with that information. If I want to go
That-
to sleep,
that's
and
not
go
what
on
we're
with my
talking
life,
about.
That's, up
That's
to
not
me.
what we're talking
Then
about.
That's up to
We're
me.
talking about
What
why
I
do you have to lie
if you
about it?
give me information about someone,
I
to
gave
do
you
some-
the information, and
yeah,
that
and I
and
didn't
that
want
was
to do
it.
anything with it. It was bullshit, John. It was bullshit.
Okay, all right. So why are you lying about it now?
I'm not. I'm being truthful.
Yeah, you
You're
did.
not.
You said Kelly called you all day yesterday.
No, I
and
never
that I
said the
was
word
calling
yesterday.
you.
I said Kelly called me
Yes,
all the
you
time.
did. Oh, come
no,
on.
I didn't.
I'll
did
I'll
not
send
say
you
that.
the screenshots.
I said you and your wife are
you
both
went nuts
weirdos.
you went nuts in Discord,
I
and you
said
were
both-
really rude and disrespectful to Barry. You called him a
Barry?
retard. Do you remember that? Yeah. Do you remember that? Calling him a retard? There he is. Maybe he can speak. Is he here? I've got those screenshots too. So don't lie. We both made a
You're posting
mistake.
a lot of screenshots. You're just like
Huh?
way too emotionally attached to these situations.
Yeah,
Just
well,
take
I'm
out
dealing with a
content.
liar. I'm dealing a lot with a liar, so I need proof. Right?
First of all, you are really obsessed with Eric. It went from Mark being obsessed with Mark
No,
to being obsessed with
wrong
Bob,
again.
to being obsessed
You
with
were the one
Eric.
that reached out for help. I'm not obsessed
Yeah, I
with
reached out to
Eric.
help, so I didn't have to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with
Yeah,
it. So I
and you're
pushed it
still
on
not
other
dealing with it. And
Exactly.
you're still not
That's
dealing with it.
perfect.
That's
I don't
okay.
want-
That's
yeah.
all right. And now you're making up this dramatic thing that never occurred. I'm calling you all day. I'm harassing you. My wife's calling you. That's ridiculous.
Well, you both
Where are you coming
honestly,
from?
You both have a heavy hand when it comes to calling.
You're crazy. I
You
made
overtext.
one phone call. I made one phone call to you. We had Eric on the phone, and there's a few texts. I don't know. Maybe there's 5 or 6 texts. I have them all on my phone. So
I have
so
them
that's
on
not
my
the
phone,
case.
too.
Yeah.
I don't like when you text me. You say,
Yeah,
oh my God.
yeah.
Have you
Your head
pulled
out of
your
your
head-
ass.
Yeah, okay.
Out of
Do
your
you wanna read
ass.
them?
Yeah. That's what I thought.
So have you
It's a little
pulled your
hard.
head out of your ass with the whole Eric thing? I didn't respond to
Yes.
that. Look, kiddo,
Yeah.
you're a sweet kid. I'll give you my same advice. We met
Mm-hmm.
serendipitously. No, we didn't. We did not meet serendipitously. Okay, we did not. Get that out
Okay,
of your head.
all right.
Get that out of your head.
All right.
However, 2 things. I don't color the truth. I'm not Dear Abby. I don't give advice. I tell people I care about my
Mhm.
experience in order to help them. What you do or what anybody does with that is up to you. Exactly. It's up to me. So leave me alone about it. I don't want to do anything.
And that was it. Was there any follow-up text after that? This
Yes,
only
there
came
was.
up
You're
because
looking
Barry
bad
brought it up.
now. You're looking bad now. Gonna look even worse. Get over yourself and do the right thing. This isn't funny. It's real life. I didn't want to do anything, John. It's up to me what I do.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
up to you.
obvious. That's obvious, and that's okay. But don't lie about it, and
No,
don't
I'm
go
not
crazy don't go crazy in your own Discord and insult an autistic guy and call him a retard because he wasn't okay with you having Eric on the show either.
Because
You think
told
that's
him to
right?
do
Is that okay?
You
No. Oh,
told
now I told. No. That's another conspiracy theories.
I know what happened here, but even though I didn't listen to it, because me and John had a conversation about it earlier today.
No.
What happened was he got
Coach Love was in
Barry,
there. She
he
knows
got
what happened.
Barry riled up, and instead
No,
of
that's a lie,
talking
Weezy.
some
That
sense
is a
into
lie.
him-
Now you're a
Can I
liar,
finish?
and you're
Can I
backing
finish?
up Elisa's lie.
Can I finish?
And people were in that Discord and they heard everything that happened. We
Okay,
were
so
listening
maybe
to
they can come
music.
up,
We were
but-
listening to music. Barry came in. The show in
Did you
general
talk him
came
out
up
of
as a
sending
talk.
that email, or
Huh?
did you promote the email?
Talk him out of. I said, yeah. If that's how you feel, send the email.
There we
So,
go. That's
yes,
all you need. to
there
say.
we go. So what does that mean? He's not supposed
Barry
to
wouldn't.
voice
He
his
wouldn't have
feelings.
sent that email without you promoting it.
You're an idiot, Wheezy. You really are. So Barry's not supposed to talk. He's not supposed to have an opinion, and I'm supposed to stop him.
You call me an idiot,
from
her
having-
twat.
You're acting like a
You're
twat.
in her
Actually, you're acting
community.
like a twat.
You're in her community, poisoning the
Yeah.
well by trying to say,
Oh,
"Hey, I
poisoning
don't
the
like
well.
this, so you guys can't like it
Oh,
either."
so you can't.
But then you
if
call her a
can't
twat
you can't be
multiple
in,
times.
You can't be in this community and have any criticism of Elisa.
My
Apparently,
introduction into this community was you trying to talk shit on Bob and get me to not like him, and it's been that way ever
no,
since.
nobody tried to get you not to like him, but I talked plenty of shit on Bob. That's your decision, buddy. Don't blame the world. You're blaming everybody for
Elisa,
I'm making you do this.
I'm
It's ridiculous.
disgusted with John right now. He's trying to get
Okay, I
everybody
bet
to go
you
on
are.
his side. Him
No,
and his
no,
wife are
no.
just two
See?
Karens.
His wife left town
yeah.
and he turned into a monster.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. He
That's
really
what I
did.
think.
Quit lying, Elisa.
I
Just
told
quit
you
lying.
that. I told you
Just
that.
quit lying.
Elisa's not lying.
It's
You're gonna have to prove
She
she's
did
lying.
lie.
Why
She
would
did
I
lie. You
lie?
don't know what you're
I would
talking
have
about.
nothing to lie about. You
Yes,
are weird.
you did.
You are
You
too
did.
involved.
You did. Nobody called you all day. None of
You
that
text
happened.
and call a lot.
And how about, is it okay to call Barry a retard? Is that all
Yeah,
right?
if he's a retard, I can call him that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine.
And I'm about to start calling
Fantastic.
you that because you're totally wrong.
Well, you can. I don't care what you say about me. I did care what you said about Barry because he's autistic. So.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
you're very upset about that.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm
I
really sick
was.
of people
I
being
was.
like
That's where the twat
crazy
came from.
around. Yeah, you can't call me a twat. You just can't do that.
Okay.
You
Well,
can't-
I did, and I apologize. So sorry. And are you going to take back your lies in the Discord?
I
Are you
not.
going to apologize? You did.
Why
You
would I
did.
apologize? I don't have anything to apologize.
So
My
Kelly,
friend Eric-
do we have to on record showing Kelly never called you?
She did call me. She called me about Mark Connors.
That's not what you said last night. You
No,
said
it's-
she called you all day tomorrow about
No, I didn't.
her
I didn't
wanting to
say
bang
that.
Mark Connors. You
No,
actually
I
wrote
said,
that.
Your wife has called me multiple times about Mark Connors, which is very weird. Okay, and
No,
odd.
That's
and
a
unusual.
lie too. That's a lie.
Oh, you don't think she
You're
called me
just
and texted
lying.
me about Mark Connors? All right, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah,
John.
yeah, not
That's
multiple
fine. If
times.
you don't
Not
want to
multiple times.
believe that, if you don't want to believe
No,
that,
I know that. I live with her. You know. I don't.
so you
I
don't think
have
your
to be
wife called me?
convinced.
Why do I have her number? Like, why?
No, she did call you, yes, and she did text you. But the way you painted it, she was blowing up your phone yesterday about the Eric thing.
I
and Mark
said
Connors
your wife
and everything
is
else.
very obsessed with Mark Connors, Bob,
No, and that's
Eric.
not true either. And that's not true either. You know, so you attacked her and you attacked me because you got called out on having a mental patient as show content. Think about that, Elisa. Just think about it, okay? Because I like you. You did a great job today. You had a great guest, and I really didn't even want to pollute that show with any of this. But you know, I'm here. You wanted to talk about it, so we talked about it, and it's nothing personal. You know, I think you're talented. I like the show. I've made relationships with people in your show that I care about. Barry's one of them. And Charmin, a number of other people. So I'm here, you know, and I'm not the type at this point in my life to hold back on criticism. And maybe, yeah, sometimes
Like calling somebody a twat is not criticism.
I know. That was out of bounds, and I apologize. I agree. I got angry, and when you called us, what'd you call us? Hicks, ignorant hicks. That, you know, I got angry. Do I sound like an ignorant hick to you?
Sometimes. Okay, so let's just enjoy the wrap-up shows today. Obviously, John and Jody and Charmin, everybody, thank you so much for participating. I just enjoyed it so much, and I love when everybody comes on Kermit and Friends. Please join our Discord server. Get Jody in there. Get all the people in there. Let's enjoy each other. Let's have fun. If you want to call the FBI on somebody, you do it. Don't make me do it. I'm busy. I don't want to call the FBI. I really just don't feel like talking to them. So if you want to call the FBI, you call the FBI. Yes, Kermit and Friends.
Hello, Lisa. It's Dave.
Hey, Dave. How's it going?
I'm all right, thank you. I don't know how much I'm enjoying the show today. It's a real good one.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we're trying our best. We had Jody, Plauché, and we're just talking to John. John went crazy last night, calling me a twat for not calling the FBI on Eric. And I just really don't like calling the FBI. There's just things in life I don't feel like doing, and that's one of them, Dave.
I don't really know what a twat is. I've never heard that word before.
It's like it's a Southern thing, I think.
Oh, like an insult.
Yeah, it's an insult. Yeah.
Oh, well, that doesn't seem very nice.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about was a thing that you tweeted about in the week, and I thought it was really right that someone brought it up. Was that you were talking about fireworks being banned because of the effects that they have on like animals and stuff.
Well, because there's been so many shootings recently, Dave. There's been so many shootings and gun violence. It's scary when the fireworks go off. I don't like that. And it's very tense around here in Los Angeles and many other places. And I just feel like fireworks should definitely be banned. I mean, I don't see any reason for them. Animals hate them and they scare people. So yeah, I do believe they should be banned.
And they're really boring as well. Like you see
they're boring.
And for like a minute it's kind of interesting, and then you think, well, I've seen things like that are colourful and gone bang before. Like I can just remember that. Like I don't need to see them again.
Yeah, no, I don't need any fireworks. I could watch them on TV. Like when I'm 5 years old. After that, they're pretty boring. The thing that like is really upsetting to me is I just don't like when people, Dave, like say what I should think and what I should do. Like you should think Eric. You should call the police on Eric. You should want to do that. Don't tell me that. If you want to call the police on Eric, you call the police on Eric. I'm doing something else right now. I don't want to do that. You know, I don't think I should be made to feel like I have to do something. It's just, I can't stand that. And I don't like that John did that to me. And he's acting like a Karen, and it's just very annoying.
Well, that's one of the interesting things that seems to happen a lot on Kermit and Friends is that it can't just be entertainment. Like everyone seems to want to tell you what to do all the time.
Yeah, especially John. And you know what?
Boss you around.
I actually love that John's involved. Like he adds something for sure, like his passion. At first I was like, oh, this is just a fluke. He really is obsessed with Mark Connors, and so is his wife. I thought that was a fluke, but then they moved on to Bob, and now they moved on to Eric. So they just want to be obsessed with someone, and it's going to be another person next. And I think actually right now it's me. And they just want to be like complaining about someone. And I mean, that's fine. It's a lot of good filler for the Discord server. But I mean, like, it's weird that they would go against me when I gave them every friend they have.
That's right. And also as well, like the show kind of doesn't stop for you because everyone bothers you all week long as well.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm at work, I don't usually look at Discord, but after work, I look at it. And it is entertaining. I love it there. Fireman Karen is freaking awesome in his own way. When he called me a twat, I was insulted, but I actually loved it because I knew he was really fired up, that fireman.
Yeah.
And why can't you call somebody retarded or retard? I really don't. Is that a new thing? I think that's a new thing. Like I know Howard Stern stopped calling people like he used to call Wendy the retard. He stopped calling her that recently, and everybody complains, oh, Howard's so PC, he doesn't call Wendy the retard anymore. So they complain about that. So like people just want to find something to complain about. If he doesn't call her Wendy the retard, he's too PC. If he calls her Wendy the retard, oh, that's wrong, you can't call somebody a retard. You know, I mean, like I don't get that. Like you just can't win. So just call somebody a retard if you want, call them a slow adult if you want, just do whatever you want. And some people like it, some people won't. John, he called me a twat. I never banned him from my Discord server. He's still there.
It's really funny because if someone called me a twat, I'd have no idea what they were on about, so I wouldn't be insulted at all.
I mean, it's kind of a fun word in a way, so I don't mind it. But I encourage everybody like to start shit in the Discord. It's very entertaining. I just love everybody there. And even if I fight with you, like Barry, Barry's gone absolutely insane. And he started a GoFundMe and claimed it was for autism, but it's really just for him to grift on the community. That's another thing. Like the grifters are also entertaining. It's a negative thing, but it's entertaining, and I don't mind it, and that's fine. You know, I mean, just do you. I'm gonna do me. I'm not gonna call any police. I'm not gonna call any FBI. I'm just gonna have fun. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna take a nap. That's it. So anybody who wants to do anything else, do what you want. That's what Kermit and Friends is. It's freedom. Freedom.
That's right, absolutely. It's been real entertaining watching the because I've been on tour the last couple of weeks. So I haven't been available on a Sunday, but I've been watching the programs and they've been like real entertaining. And the guy today was good as well. The guy
Jody Plauché. He's a fascinating story. He's a fascinating story. He's an honest person. He likes the Howard Stern show. Very odd, but he does. And he's going to be a Kermitarian. I want people to invite him to the Discord server. I want him to be involved in the wrap-up shows. And I want everybody to be involved in that. And how is tour? What's better, tour or being on a rock tour or calling into Kermit and Friends?
I think it would be fair to say it's a tie. Well, to be honest, like the first, cause I've been doing 4 shows, and the first one, because the UK is really small. Like I know when like American musicians go on tour, they do like 50 dates because America's enormous.
Yeah.
But the UK is like tiny in comparison, so you don't do that many shows. But the first one and the third one were amazing, and the second one was really rubbish. But the fourth one, like, ticket sales have actually been really good, so it's kind of, it's been kind of fun. It's just weird with like COVID and stuff because audiences are really scatty.
Oh yeah, really? That doesn't sound good.
Well, I think it like there was a couple who came to see me and they hadn't been to any concert at all since COVID started, and they bought tickets and everything, and then they sat there, and after like. And I swear, like, before people write this in the comments, it wasn't because I was particularly rubbish, because, like, other people stayed. They came over to me and they were like, look, I'm really sorry, but, like, it just feels weird being outdoors. Like, they literally hadn't done anything since COVID started. And to actually just be in a room with, like, 100 other people just felt really weird to them. But
yeah, I don't even want to be around anyone right now, actually. I find, like, alone time to be very important. You know, I don't want to talk to anybody, really. And I don't want to see anyone. You ever feel like that?
Well, that's the other thing as well, that people have been, like, the time that people used to spend with other people, they've now got used to spending on their own. And there's, like, a lot of advantages to that. And, you know, there's disadvantages too, because it's less social, but actually people have become better at being by themselves.
Yeah, I love being alone. I love it. I love being alone. It's fantastic. Thank you, Dave, for calling in. We got to end the show because pretty soon is our wrap-up show, which is going to be incredible. All right. So whose wrap-up show is first? We're going to have Wappy, obviously, on in a second. Whose wrap-up show is first?
Chase is doing a wrap-up show.
Yeah, where's he been? He hasn't been in chat.
I don't know. He's been calling in. I don't know why he didn't call in.
He didn't call in.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did? He did call in. Okay. Yeah. All right, so that's fine. All right, so he's doing the wrap-up show
He actually hired a co-host for his wrap-up show.
Yeah, I know he's used his mom's credit card to pay his co-host. Yeah, don't use your mom's credit card to pay your wrap-up show co-host, I would say. Typically, use your own money to pay your wrap-up show co-host. Kermit and Friends, how can I help you?
Hey, I just wanted to ask Harry Brogan if he plans on totally deleting his anti-Mark Connors Facebook page called Cruise Control, or if
he doesn't have to.
To someone else like Witzin or somebody.
He doesn't have to delete it. So he can speak on Mark Connors whenever he wants. He won. Okay.
And also, would you mind just explaining to everyone how come you have the no banning policy? I'm not saying if it's good or bad. I'm just curious.
Okay, great question, Tal. Okay, so the reason why is because we need all kinds of people here. It's not just people that agree. So, like John Taylor, for instance, I agree with him on like absolutely nothing. He's wrong about everything, but he's still there. We can't have everybody exactly the same. We can't have everybody that like knows what's going on. We have to have some people that just have no clue. So we need to keep those people in there just for fun. It's more fun to have people in there that are kind of weird and clueless, like John. So yes, I'm going to keep John in there. In fact, he's one of my favorites. So I will not ban anyone, no one, even the grifters, even people that are taking money from people, even people that are using their mom's credit card to pay wrap-up show co-hosts. They can all stay. That's fine. We appreciate everyone here. We welcome everyone. Even if you disagree, even if you don't like us, even if you call me a twat, you're still there. We're not banning anyone.
Thanks. This was the best show in a long time. Have a nice day.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Tall. See, that's a good guy. That's a very nice person. His name's Tall, Dark, and a Handful. Everybody, please leave him alone and stop harassing him. Okay, so we're having a nice wrap-up show. Charmin, you're avoiding Brain's wrap-up show, right?
Actually, I'm going to show up and support Crystal. I'm so proud of her. I think it's really spectacular. She asked me to come by and say hi, and I'm going to come by and say hi. But I'm actually Wheezy's co-host from now on. So I signed a 7-year deal. He locked me down.
Wow!
I know, isn't that fun? Did you know you were going to be around for 7 years for us to do wrap-up shows about?
I figured, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I figured I might be, but wow, that's incredible. I'm so thrilled. That's going to be very odd. So is that coming up right after this?
Yes, I believe it is the Brain wrap-up show, and then it is Wheezy's wrap-up show. I'm not exactly sure if the name of his wrap-up show changed because he had a different co-host before, which is apparently no longer part of our community. I think by next week he'll be back.
Oh, Bob? Are you talking about Bob? Oh,
yeah. What happened with Bob? What did I miss in Discord?
Bob says if I let Harry Brogan on the show that he's quitting, and I just don't respond to threats. I'm sorry, I don't respond to threats. And that's just that. And so sorry, Bob. I mean, you could go if you want, Bob. Sorry, we still go on. So everybody join us in our Discord server. Join us on our wrap-up shows with Charmin, Brain, Crystal, Wheezy, and whoever else wants to show up. And I'll see you next week.
Close the door, put out the light. No, they won't be home tonight. It's no false heart, don't you know? Winds of Thor blowing cold. The weapon steel that's bright and true. Carry news that must get through. Choose a path no one goes. They hold no quota. They hold no quota. Walking side by side with death. Devil marks their every step. The snow tries back the foot that's slow. The dogs of doom are howling low. They carry news that must get through. To build a dream for me and you. Choose a path where no one goes. They hold no quota. They ask no quota. The pain without quota. They ask no quota. Dogs of doom are howling low.